Hello, this is Professor Gerda Pujol, and I want to welcome you back to Legal and Ethical Environment of Business Module 1. So Module 1, I decided, I did create a housekeeping video just explaining sort of the nuts and bolts of the course, given what our survey results are. I've now recorded a consolation video because almost half the class voted for the social network, and it was just narrowly defeated by a handful of votes. But now I want to explain, this video is really for the rest of the class, really for all the class, but especially those who voted for Tiger King and those who did not vote for Tiger King. You got to be asking yourself, what does Tiger King have anything to do with business law? And I will tell you, take a close look at the syllabus, especially pages 2, 4, and 5, where I discuss provide you an overview of the course and describe in some detail the modules of the course. And it's going to turn out that, in fact, Tiger King is going to be an excellent vehicle, and I would dare say a very entertaining vehicle or method of studying business law and ethics. It's just because it's such an unorthodox and such a really crazy show on so many different levels. But it really is an important aspect of our lives, animals and zoos. So by focusing on that, here's what we're going to do. Module 1 is purely introductory, so you're just watching Tiger King, going on for the ride, enjoying it. You're going to notice, however, that there's so many legal and ethical issues all in every single episode. So Module 2, for example, is going to be sources of law. So we'll look at what are the main sources of law that could apply to a private, a wildlife sanctuary like Big Cat Rescue, or a private, quote unquote, roadside zoo, private zoo, exotic animal park, like Joe Exotic's GW Greater Wynwood Exotic Animal Park. And we'll look at state, federal, and even international law in this context. And we'll see it's actually really interesting. Each of these sources of law have something to say about how we should treat animals. Module 3, the common law, we're going to be looking, which I consider really a fundamental area for business law, torts, contracts, and property rights. We're going to be looking at that from the perspective of Tiger King. It turns out the leading case involving the definition of property rights and who owns something for the first time, probably one of the most important cases in our legal system, Pearson v. Post, is a case involving a wild fox. And so it will, I think that's a great way to tie it into Tiger King and the animal kingdom. Torts, accidents, episode 2, Saf, his arm is chomped off by a tiger. And so we'll be looking at legal liability questions. Contracts, when is a promise legally binding? Joe Exotic makes a reward offer, right, for information leading to the arrest and even conviction of Carol Baskin for the disappearance of her second husband. Is that a legally binding promise? So you're going to see, we'll be able to relate Tiger King and animals into the common law. And the common law, I was even surprised when I was just going over is how what a sophisticated body of law we have in terms of contracts, property, and torts dealing with animals. I haven't even talked about cattle trespass yet, but we will in Module 3. So it's going to be a really, and you'll have a good introduction to this solid area of business law. Module 4, the law of ideas, or trademarks and copyrights. Well, if you watch Tiger King closely, especially episode 4, you're going to learn that Carol Baskin or her group, right, the Big Cat Rescue, is going to sue Joe Exotic's group, Big Cat Entertainment, for trademark and then later for copyright infringement. And so, what a great way to, visualize and dramatize intellectual property rights. So that's what we'll do. And in fact, it turns out that IP, live ideas, is really, once we get past the common law, I would say it's the most important of the specialized areas of business law, as I mentioned in a previous video. Fifth, and next to last, civil and criminal cases. We'll go back and we'll look at how these cases played out, and we'll also talk about the criminal case against Joe Exotic. which many thought were basically just trumped up charges. So we'll look at that. We'll look at that criminal indictment and how the jury trial played out. We'll also look at the allegations against Carol Baskin, and we'll look at what due process requires in order to actually bring a case. Civil and criminal cases, again, there's so many, we can't study all of them, but Tiger King actually gives us good examples of both areas of both types of cases. And then finally, Module 6 that I've created for ethics, and I will look at the main theories of ethics. And what's great about Tiger King from a pedagogical or teaching perspective is just how unethical everybody is, just to put it politely. And so actually, I think that's a powerful learning tool. So we'll look at the main theories of ethics. I'll also say how that relates to animal rights. Because I think everyone is going to agree that animals are part of our moral calculus. We just have to figure out how and to what extent. And then I'll conclude our ethical module with the corporate social responsibility or business ethics, which is important no matter what business we talk about. But private zoos give us a great way of looking at corporate social responsibility sort of as a mini case study. And that will be the course. And I hope I will persuade you at least to keep an open mind, to enjoy Tiger King, and to see that I hope I've been able to persuade some of you that in fact it's very relevant to business law. And it's a great idea to have a theme because this way we can make business law a lot more entertaining. It doesn't have to be dry. It doesn't have to be, stuffy. It doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be technical. You're going to see that the law affects every single business firm. It affects every single one of us. And I want to bring the law alive. And I can't think really of a better way of bringing the law alive than by using this, surprising Netflix, popular show called Tiger King. So fasten your seatbelt, get the popcorn out, enjoy that ride, and I'll see everybody in Module 2. Take care, God bless, and charge on.